Hey guys, welcome back, or welcome if you're new to my channel. In this video, I'm bringing you 5 Dollar Tree Christmas DIYs inspired by Kirklands. Kirklands has a beautiful selection of Christmas decor with a not so beautiful price tag, so I thought I would try to recreate some of the decor I saw online while browsing their website. Now keep in mind that these DIYs are not dupes. They aren't going to look exactly like the products from Kirklands, but they do look similar with only a small fraction of the cost to make them. If you're new to my channel, I hope you will stick around and click that subscribe button before you leave. Now let's get into the first DIY. I saw these cute tag ornaments on the Kirkland website and knew I could get a similar look with Dollar Tree products, so I used these metal tags from the Crafter Square section. They come in a pack of 3, and I also used Dollar Tree's craft vinyl in red. If you don't have a vinyl cutting machine, no worries, you can just use some Dollar Tree stickers. Dollar Tree has an assortment of letter stickers, or you can use a red Sharpie and hand letter the metal tags. After my vinyl was cut and weeded, I just used some medium tack transfer tape to apply them to the metal tags. The ornaments from Kirklands are white, but I decided not to paint these. I actually preferred the metal look over the white, and you could of course paint these with some acrylic paint or chalk paint. Just make sure if you are applying vinyl to the tags and you painted them that you just use a low tack transfer tape, otherwise you'll rip off the paint when you remove the transfer tape.
Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the windows in the rain is pouring, it will always be Christmas in my heart.
Next, I used some galvanized wire I had in my craft supplies. You can use jute cord, twine, wax thread, baker's twine, whatever you have on hand. And I'm also using a mixture of red and natural wood beads from my craft collection. I get the natural wood beads in an assortment of sizes from Amazon. It's sold in a big pack and they're pretty inexpensive compared to craft stores. I will link them down below if you're interested. And then the red beads I actually got from Walmart in the craft section last year during Christmas. Dollar Tree has wooden beads in the craft section usually all year round. They come in a variety of colors that you can paint, and I even think that they are selling like a natural wood garland for Christmas. I haven't seen it in any of my Dollar Trees yet, but you could also use that as well. Next, I take my wire and cut 3 pieces for each tag. I fold it in half to figure out the length I want, and then after all of my pieces are cut, I take the open ends and string them through the hole on the tag, fold them over, and then twist them around so that the tag is secure from falling off the wire and so that there is a loop to hang the ornaments. Then I just take my wood beads and string them through, making a pattern. And here's how my ornaments turned out.
All the happy smiles and the wishes, and I want it all, from the lights to the mistletoe.
The next DIY is this teardrop swag wreath. I knew as soon as I saw it on the website it would be super easy to recreate a very similar wreath for a heck of a lot cheaper than what it is selling for at Kirklands. I started by unboxing 2 Dollar Tree mini Christmas trees and pulling off the little connector pieces that connect to the stand. Then I separated the branches in bunches so that the trunk was exposed. Then I layered one tree on top of the other upside down and then used some floral wire from Dollar Tree to connect the 2 trees together. I used a lot of wire because I wanted it to be a snug fit. You can use more than 2 trees, you can use 3 trees if you want. It's just depending on how long you want your swag wreath to be.
Whatever we do, we will be alright. These holiday wonders will open your mind. May all your wishes tonight.
After my 2 Christmas trees were wired together, I just started fluffing out the branches and separating them to make it look more full.
Well, I'm all for Christmas. It's a magical time full of kisses. Take a walk outside and tickle the snowman's nose. Moving nimbly, did you hear something from the chimney? I will keep you warm as soon as you remove that snow. Oh, whatever we do, we will be alright. These holiday wonders will open your mind. May all your wishes tonight come true. The love I lived, the dream I knew.
The buffalo check ribbon on the wreath from Kirklands is red and black, but I couldn't find that color combo at my Dollar Tree, but I did find the black and white buffalo check ribbon. Now I have to tell you guys that I am not the greatest at making bows. If you want an awesome bow tutorial, Olivia's Romantic Home is the place to learn. She's the queen of bows in my opinion. Check out her channel if you haven't already. But I just cut the 4 pieces of ribbon in 4 different sizes. 1 extra long piece, 1 long piece, 1 medium, and 1 small. I folded the long piece and middle pieces together into thirds and then layered them on top of each other. And then I just took the extra long piece and placed that behind them as the tail. Then I just used my fingers to pinch the pieces together and then took the shortest piece and wrapped it around the middle and then hot glued it to secure the bow. I hope I explained that well enough. Again, I'm not the best at making bows.
Tell me one thing.
Then I just play around with shaping it and cutting the ends of the tail into a single point tail, and I actually go back later on and cut them into a 2-point tail. I decided at the end I liked that look more. But then I just attached the bow to the top of the wreath stem with a generous amount of hot glue. I am using the Gorilla Glue brand of hot glue sticks. They are the best in my opinion, but just a heads up, I will be using a ton of hot glue for this project, and this video is not sponsored by Gorilla Glue, by the way, but I usually don't use hot glue in my wreaths. I use twist ties or zip ties. That is an option if you want. But for this style of wreath, I just went ahead and used the hot glue gun. I thought this ice skate ornament from Dollar Tree would look super cute at the top of the wreath underneath the bow, and the pattern and color matched perfectly. The Kirkland wreath I think had a little sign in it or something, so you could do something like that as well. I just thought the ice skate was perfect. I'm also using a bunch of Christmas greenery pieces from my crafting supplies. I got a lot of them from Michael's grab boxes after Christmas. I scored a huge box of Christmas greenery for literally $5. But Dollar Tree has a huge variety of Christmas greenery, florals, and berries that you could use for this project. I just start filling this wreath with different pieces of greenery and hot gluing them down until I was happy with the look.
Take a walk outside and tickle the snowman's nose. Moving nimbly, did you hear something from the chimney? I will keep you warm as soon as you remove that snow.
To finish off the wreath, I added a pine cone that I had painted a few years ago into the center of the bow, and then I went back and fixed the tails. I love how this teardrop swag wreath turned out. I actually like it more than the one at Kirklands, and it didn't cost me $75. It cost less than $10 to make myself. I also shook this thing pretty hard just to make sure it would withstand the winds hanging on the front door, and nothing fell off, and I'm telling you guys, it's because I used the Gorilla Glue. It's simply the best. For DIY number 3, I'm going to be recreating this galvanized wall decor piece from Kirklands. Dollar Tree recently came out with these metal square crafting pieces, so I snagged 3 of them for this project. And to make it look like a tag, I just took one of the pieces and folded a little triangle on 2 ends. These are pretty bendable with a little bit of effort, but I do want to point out that before you start bending and gluing your pieces together, pay attention to the little hanging hook that is on each metal piece. You want those in the back. I wasn't paying attention, and I ended up going back and rebending the top, and it was a pain. But I used both E6000 and hot glue for this project since I am working with metal, and the piece is quite heavy when it's all put together, so I just wanted to make sure that it was going to stay together. But to attach the pieces of metal together, I just go along the edge of the last little groove and hot glue it to the last groove of the other pieces of metal.
On this cold December day, we are on our merry way, riding along, just singing a song, barreling through the snow. Bells are jingling, snowflakes tingling, Rudolph knows where to go.
So right here is where I realized I made the mistake that I mentioned earlier. 2 of the pieces had the metal hanging hooks on what I wanted to be the front. So instead of taking it apart and re-gluing everything, I thought it would be easier to just re-bend the top the other direction because I could just easily cover up the hook on that with a bow or something. It was not easier, it was actually quite difficult to bend it the other direction and have it look as nice as the first fold because the metal kept wanting to crinkle in some places and not in others. I ended up taking it out to my garage and pounding it flat with a hammer, but again, just make sure you pay attention to those little hooks on the metal. Looking back, the easiest fix would have probably been just to take some needle nose pliers and pull off the hooks individually, but easy fixes never seem to come to mind in the middle of crafting. It's usually something overly complicated and complex that pops up in my head first. After our little trip to the garage, I took these ornament letters from Dollar Tree to spell the word joy, and I just took the greenery off the J and the Y. I couldn't find the O in the same style ornaments as the J and Y, but I found this one that had a cute deer on it, and it had the same plaid colors and pattern, so I just used that. I left the greenery on that one just because I thought it was really cute in the center, and I used both the E6000 and hot glue again to bond the ornaments to the metal, and I also used books to add some weight to help them bond to the metal. The deer ornament had a cardboard backing and instantly bonded, but the other 2 were wood, so they needed some time and pressure to bond, so that's where the books come in handy. I let the book sit on the ornaments for about 15 minutes, and then I took some Dollar Tree nautical rope, tied a simple bow, and attached it to the top. I also cut another piece to make a loop to be able to hang it. I used a ton of hot glue for this, both underneath and on top of the rope, to just really seal it on there. And I waited for the hot glue to completely dry, and then I went around the edges of the metal with some ivory chalk paint just to give it like that rustic farmhouse look. And also the one from Kirklands has kind of like this white dry brushed trim around, so that's what I was going for. And here's how this project turned out. I think it's super cute and rustic, definitely farmhouse if you're into that. And again, these DIYs are not exact dupes, but you can make similar looks for less with Dollar Tree craft supplies. For DIY number 4, I'm going to be making a set of snowflake candle holders. So you're going to need 4 of these candle holders from Dollar Tree and this pack of wood snowflake ornaments. I start out by taking some E6000 glue again and going around the lip of the candle base and then following up with some hot glue. If you're confused as to why I'm using 2 different glues, let me explain. I think I forgot to mention that a couple DIYs ago. But the E6000 is an industrial strength glue, but it takes 24 hours to cure. And then the hot glue is a fast bond to hold things in place from moving. That's why I like to use both on projects with metal or projects that are heavy. And after I apply both glues, I just flip one candle holder over upside down on top of the other to make sort of an hourglass shape. Then I take 2 ornaments and fill the holes with some hot glue and then glue them to the center of the candlesticks.
It's an early December morning. No one but we are.
Next, I take the candlesticks out to my spray paint tent and I paint them with some white chalk paint spray paint. And no, I wasn't completely enclosed in a tent. I had plenty of ventilation. I had the door flap open. But it's actually funny because I had purchased this tent for a river canoe trip I was supposed to go on with my son, and it ended up getting canceled. But it was recommended that we bring a privacy tent or a poop tent to put our buckets in. So yeah, it was that kind of camping trip. Anyways, it never got used, so the poop tent is now my spray paint tent. And I also spray painted a whole sheet of these jewel border stickers. After the spray paint had dried, I took 2 strips of the jewel border stickers and hot glued them around where I had glued the candlesticks together. They were still sticky, but I added the hot glue for a better bond.
I'm falling just like these snowflakes, tumbling down, round and round.
I also took the stickers and cut out one single flower shape or snowflake shape from the sticker strip and then added it to the center of the snowflake for added detail. Next, I used some light brown acrylic paint in the color khaki and a paintbrush to go around all of the raised edges, the top and bottom of the candlesticks.
Much to ask, a place forever in your arms, and for this moment to last, because I'm falling just like this snow.
Then to blend everything together, I go back with a bigger paintbrush and that khaki colored paint and dry brush in some areas and use more paint in others. I wanted to cover the blue hue as much as possible since the spray paint didn't completely make it opaque, but I also wanted to have some dimension and make it look more rustic like the ones from Kirklands. Then I go back with my white chalk paint and a small paintbrush and add some and here's how they turned out. And the 5th and final DIY is a red truck decor piece to hold mini Christmas trees. Kirklands has several red trucks, but they were all metal, and pretty much every home decor store is going to have some sort of little red truck, but I decided I wanted to make my own, so I'm using 2 of these paint your own style MDF trucks from Dollar Tree for this DIY. I start off by using some painter's tape and taping off the faux wood sides of the red truck and then painting everything else red. And I'm using the color Crimson by Waverly. I love this red. I think it's the perfect red, especially for Christmas. And I like using chalk paint because usually you only need like 1 coat versus acrylic paint. You usually need several coats. But if you only have acrylic paint, use that. But I did end up painting both sides of each truck.
Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family.
After the paint was dry, I took off the painter's tape and then I took a black permanent marker to color in the wheels. I felt like I would have better precision with a permanent marker versus using a paintbrush for this step, but if you're gifted with a paintbrush, you can do that as well.
No, he wouldn't miss this in Christmas times.
Next, it was time to assemble the truck and put the bed in to hold the Christmas trees. I'm using the little galvanized crate from Dollar Tree. If you can't find these, you can also use the little wooden crates from Dollar Tree in the Crafter Square section. I just apply the hot glue to one of the trucks, starting at where the truck bed begins, just over the back wheel and the bottom wood slat, basically a large rectangle. Then I take my metal crate and press it in firmly to the hot glue. And I normally use E6000 glue as well with metal projects, but because this little metal crate was so lightweight, I didn't think it was necessary. I apply the glue in the same spot on the other truck piece and press it in with my hand. I wanted to make a little wreath for the back of the truck, so I went through my Ziploc bag full of Christmas crafting scraps and dug out a little piece of greenery, some red berries, and a bow, and I made a mini Christmas wreath and hot glued it over the star on the back of the truck. And the final touch was adding a little decal to the side of the truck that said fresh cut Christmas trees. I cut this out on my Cricut machine, but of course you can use a chalk pen, a Sharpie, or Dollar Tree stickers. And I think this little red truck turned out so cute. I stuck a Dollar Tree mini hay bale in the back and a couple of these small Christmas trees. You could also use this for other holidays as well, like fall. You could put in maybe some mini pumpkins in the hay bale. Or for Easter, put some cute little Easter eggs in there without the decal on the side, or maybe make another decal for the other side for a different holiday, and you can kind of flip it around. I really hope you guys like these recreations of the decor I saw at Kirklands. I hope it inspired you to get out your glue guns and recreate some of these for yourself, or maybe you get inspired to recreate other high-end decor with Dollar Tree craft supplies. If you did enjoy this video, I would love a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more content from me and ring the bell so you're notified for every new upload from me. Thanks so much for watching and happy crafting.
Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows in the